Hello, good evening. Today, the 9th of June 2023. To present Camnet Television News, my name is Jeffrey Siambo. Our top stories in the news tonight: Chunga residents demand the closure of a named Chinese company. Court hears how Joe Malanji used the presidential jet to ferry over $4.6 million from Turkey. Patriotic Front questions law enforcement agencies' silence on a FEEP report. In international news, opposition coalition wins legislative elections in Guinea-Bissau. And in sports news, VEEP assures the Copper Queens of continued support.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Hello again, the news in detail. Residents of Chunga Ward in Katuba constituency, Lusaka, have demanded the closure of a Chinese-owned construction company, which they say has been emitting dust in the community, posing serious health hazards. GUINEA Premix Concrete Company Limited has been accused of noise pollution, which the community says has been affecting their productivity. Speaking to Camnet News Friday, one of the residents, Nomsa Lupunga, says efforts from the community to engage the company have proved futile, as the company has not been willing to speak to them. Meanwhile, the Zambia Environmental Management Agency, ZEMA, has written to the company to suspend operations. More in this report.
Various citizens across the country have been crying out against companies erected right in the heart of communities and emitting various fumes, demanding for this to be relocated away from communities where people live. This is GUINEA Premix Concrete Company Limited in Chunga Ward under Katuba constituency, a construction company which residents say has made their lives unbearable as it has been emitting dust fumes and causing noise pollution. Community members also say many plants have dried up, while others have failed to grow due to the said pollution.
Their trucks, whatever machines they use, are just right next to my wall fence. I've had maybe 3 times my wall fence has collapsed. I've got kids there. I should say the whole family. Is it safe for us to be living like this? We've complained, like my sister said, more than once. I don't know how many times we've complained. All we want is for these people to be relocated. That's it. Even what they've put in this letter to say they are going to build what, we are not interested. We just want these people to live. That is it.
Why and how they went ahead and gave these Chinese a permit to put up such an infrastructure amidst the community, knowing pretty too well that the kind of activity they are conducting here has a long-lasting effect on human life. Yes. Yeah? So that's what we want. And 2, not only that, they should go further to try and interrogate the permit that was given to these guys. Was it indeed the right permit which was given to them, which depicts the exercise that is at hand? So you may find that when you dig deeper, you're a journalist, you must do your investigative journalism. Go there, go deeper and find out what kind of permit were these guys given. Eventually you'll find that maybe the permit that was given is contrary to what is happening on the ground.
Respiratory diseases. Silicosis, the miners who work in industries like this, they are subjected to periodic examinations. And who's going to pay for that examination? For us to go for those silicosis examinations. And medical issues are now expensive. Exactly. For us to go to a clinic from here to there in the night, where would you pass? And if it's rainy season, you can't even stand here. It's waterlogged here. No car can pass here. You're only lucky because you came, it's not raining. And they haven't discharged the water they discharge from this factory. If they have to continue their business, let them start bread or sweets or whatever. You wouldn't mind, but not these fumes we are breathing in every day.
The residents explain that even the wharf of the said company has collapsed various times due to the noise, hence endangering children in the area.
So manza makana pressure kuja so mafuna kuvulira kuno so that baby bakazipema kuja manza kamba kubwera kama bwera kuja kwatu kumankala flood nyumba ya mangena kuja kwatu na baneba banga simankala affected tumankala kwenda manza kai pressure mapakisa all again ngati movie Malima vote wenkala washed away. Nango offense Chicago kubati babwa bakatawa ayu affected. Especially even concerned kumankati aka Chicago echimanzi akapaka chimagwa chi offense mwe bantu ichi. Chagwa road kumankala ko loko Peter.
Offense. Ili yenza almost kuchitako collapse na yeve off chance. Poya malite. Mpaka community tunaimirira batikambirako bamene bayopewa kapena kuli bamene bayopewa kaise tikatuma mafoni yatu kapena si ati tiwana recognize ukakamba we will come 1 month boy kalichebe almost falling down.
Meanwhile, company director Huang Yongqiang did not give audience to the media but left the company upon spotting a media vehicle. The Zambia Environmental Management Agency ZEMA has however written to the company to suspend operations, a move community members have opposed as they only want the company to be relocated. Camnet News will continue to follow the matter with relevant authorities as it unfolds. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News.
The Kariba North Bank Extension Power Corporation has declared a $2 million United States dividend to its shareholders for the financial year 2021. Speaking at the handover ceremony of the check in Lusaka Friday, Kariba North Bank Extension Board member Irene Hawasindi says the company made sales of 722 million kwacha with a profit of 89 million kwacha. Ms. Hawasindi says the company generated about 1.571 gigawatts of per hour, exceeding the target by 64% in the year under review. Meanwhile, Zesco Limited Acting Company Secretary Matembo Lisimba says the declaration of the dividend by the company signifies that the decision to create and allow Kariba North Bank Extension to operate as an investment has not been in vain.
There's the check.
In the financial year 2021, the business remained robust and sales of 722 million were made and a profit of 89 was realized on account of course, high sales. The plant generated 1.571 gigawatt hour, exceeding the target that we had set for ourselves by 64%. To give back to the shareholder, the board of directors will pay a $2 million for the financial year ended 2021.
I must also mention that one of the key milestones in the year was a repayment of the Development Bank of Southern African loan 5 years before maturity. The maturity having been 2026.
As shareholder, we entrusted our capital to support the growth of this company. The declaration of this dividend therefore signifies that the decision by the shareholder to create and allow the company to operate as an investment wing has not been in vain.
Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security Jack Mwembo has issued a directive to security wings in the country to descend on those publishing false information on social media aimed at creating a rift between the United Party for National Development UPND and the Catholic Church. Addressing the media Friday afternoon, Mr. Mwembo says the ministry will invoke all necessary laws, including the Cyber Security and Cyber Crimes Act of 2021, to bring perpetrators to book, stating that the information is seditious and can create acrimony in the country. He was speaking against the background of various publications on social media purporting that the UPND administration has risen against the Catholic Church after criticism from some priests against the high cost of living. More in this report.
Various documents and emails which have implicated the ruling United Party for National Development UPND administration have been circulating on social media, purporting that the current administration is scheming against named priests in the Catholic Church and the Church in general. This is after named priests in the Catholic Church challenged the UPND over management of national affairs. Friday, Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security Jack Mwimbu stated that government will not take lightly any malicious statements that are aimed at painting the government in bad light. In this regard, the minister has directed security wings in the country to pounce on those that have been circulating the information which he says is false, as it has potential to wage war between government and the Catholic Church.
It is equally saddening to notice a trend by some individuals and media houses who are quick and excited to jump on these unauthenticated documents and publish them as news reports. Such levels of anarchy and lawlessness will not be tolerated in the name of freedom of expression that has been granted to the citizens of Zambia. The people behind these acts ought to know that freedoms have limits and should not result in recklessness and alarming the nation.
The minister says government has nothing against the Catholic Church, further stating that there is a ploy by enemies of the current administration to create unnecessary tension by creating false information, which he says is seditious.
We are aware of what they have been trying to do for quite some time now. But let it be known that the security wings of government are working round the clock to ensure that the culprits are brought to book. It's not a threat to anyone, as others always think. But if you are committing an offense, be assured that at one time or the other, you will be held accountable. Right now, we are calling upon, on behalf of government, we are calling upon law enforcement institutions to carry out thorough investigations pertaining to this issue. This wage which is being carried out, if not contained, can bring serious acrimony in the country.
The minister also says he's yet to update the nation on why former President Edgar Lungu's advisor for political affairs, Chris Zimba, who has been in police custody for over 1 week, has not been taken to court once the information is ready. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Government says it has signed a contract to a tune of $16 million United States with AVIC International for the construction of a cancer diseases hospital in Ndola on the Copperbelt, which will be completed in the next 12 months. Ministry of Information and Media Director Spokesperson Tawo Kagwana says government is also putting up a replacer of the cancer disease hospital in Livingstone of Southern Province, and that $9 million United States has already been released for the construction of the hospital, whose works have already commenced. Mr. Kawana also says the Treasury has released resources for the procurement of new equipment at the Cancer Diseases Hospital to replace the old ones which have been malfunctioning. Meanwhile, Mr. Kawana has warned people publicizing fake news with an agenda of alarming the nation and creating an atmosphere of discontent of serious consequences once caught.
Through Treasury has already released funds to the Ministry of Health to procure new equipment for the Cancer Diseases Hospital in Lusaka, so that the old equipment which is there, which has become obsolete, is replaced. But over and above that, we have also signed a contract to the tune of $16 million with AVIC to build and equip a brand new cancer hospital in Ndola, which will be completed in the next 12 months. By the time of completion, the hospital will be fully equipped. As we are talking now, the staff to go and work there are undergoing training. The doctors, the nurses, and all the relevant auxiliary staff that need to work at the Cancer Diseases Hospital are there. We are also putting up a replica of the Ndola Hospital in Livingstone. And so far, we already have $9 million and works have begun towards putting up a Cancer Diseases Hospital in Livingstone. And this we also want to do in all provincial centers in the country. I think we have all seen that on these pages, on the Patriotic front page and that of the Grindstone television page. There are two documents there that are purported to have been issued. One by the Ministry of Internal Security, and the other one is purported to have been issued by State House. Those of you that are in this business of making these fake documents, that on this one, the law will catch up with you. And I want to say it very clearly in a language you understand. Muzamuziwa Yesu.
Different PF members of parliament have accused government of illegally mining at copper mines on the copper belt at the expense of many people suffering due to the closure of the mine. Leader of the opposition in parliament, Brian Mundubile, says revelations by the Financial Intelligence Center FEEC that 6.1 billion kwacha was laundered by some government official in 2022 is a serious matter that needs to be investigated by all investigative bodies in the country. Mr. Mundubile reports that a named company is mining at KCM and that the proceeds are being pocketed by some individuals who need to be dealt with accordingly. Meanwhile, Shuangandu Member of Parliament Stephen Kampyongo has warned the United Party for National Development UPND Secretary General Batuke Imenda to stop meddling in the implementation of CDF, that Mr. Imenda is just a political party member and not a government official. More in this report.
Opposition political parties in Zambia have resumed on their duty to every Friday offer their checks and balances to the now United Party for National Development UPND-led administration. The members of Parliament who spoke at a media engagement Friday shortly after attending to their parliamentary duties have accused government of illegally mining at KCM on the copper belt and pocketing the proceeds at the expense of poor people on the copper belt who have gravely been affected by the closure of the mine. Lunte, Member of Parliament Mutotwe Kafwaya, has questioned why law enforcement agencies have failed to move in and investigate the purported money laundering of 6.1 billion kwacha that was reported by the Financial Intelligence Center, FIC.
Let the law enforcement officers begin to look at the people who are cited in the 2022 FIC report. Those are the Lucifers. Those are the enemies of state. Those are the enemies of the people. You can't have illegal mining activities in KCM.
Move immediately and inform the nation about what charges they are going to slap on these criminals that have been taking away the minerals that belong to the Zambians, the minerals that should have gone to assist the many employees of contractors and suppliers of KCM. The minerals that have been taken without any form of tax being paid to this Zambian government.
Shuangandu Member of Parliament Stephen Kampyongo also has words for the UPND Secretary General Batuke Imenda, while Chawama Member of Parliament Tasila Lungu has complained of unfair treatment of opposition MPs.
I want to appeal to Honorable Imenda. If he has got no ideas of how to mobilize his ruling party, he must focus on mobilizing his party other than politicking with the CDF. CDF is government money. It's not coming from the Secretariat of UPND. So it should not be under the illusion that the UPND as a party has got a role to play in monitoring how this money is utilized.
So let's work together, and I'm challenging them to bring this money to the office of the MP, remove it from the Ministry of Local Government, If you've noted, local councils now are failing to provide services that they're supposed to provide because they're now preoccupied with what? With the CDF.
Member of Parliament has to be arrested, that the police have to notify the Speaker. And what we have seen taking place so far is that our members of Parliament have been ambushed, taken. Honorable Shakafusa was at the mosque with his children. First of all, imagine the trauma that causes to the children.
And barely a day after, PF Media Director Antonio Mwanza resigned from his party, citing lack of willingness by some leaders to hold the convention and elect a new party president. Christopher Shakafuswa says the party is this Saturday holding a meeting to finalize on the constitution, which will give direction on the party's convention.
Tomorrow, the Central Committee is supposed to finalize the constitution. And once the constitution is finalized, the Central Committee will then set a date for the constitution to be adopted by the General Conference, where ordinary members of the party will also participate and adopt this constitution. And once that is done, the following day, we will elect the president of the party.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Lusaka Magistrate Court has heard how former Foreign Affairs Minister Joe Malanji used the presidential jet to ferry over $4.6 million from Turkey. Former Turkey Ambassador Mishek Kaoma was testifying before Magistrate Irene Wishimanga that he accessed a report showing financial flows that out of $7.1 million United States dollars, only one building was procured at $1.1 million United States dollars from the said funds instead of 12 properties. This is in a case where Mr. Malanji is charged with 8 counts of being in possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime, while Mr. Yamba is facing 2 counts of willful failure to comply with applicable law contrary to the laws of Zambia. More in the following report.
A former ambassador to Turkey, Mishek Kaoma, 58, has testified how $4.6 million United States dollars was allegedly withdrawn and flown into 2 black suitcases using the presidential jet where Foreign Affairs Minister Joe Malanji and others were on. In his testimony, the recalled ambassador alleges that in July 2021, he received a call from the then Permanent Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Ronald Simwinga, stating that 2 officers from SEC had come to his office requesting that he travel back to Zambia to give them information relating to something he did not know of. In his testimony, he says there was a meeting to table the issue where the First Secretary for Administration of the Zambian Embassy in Turkey, Kezia Nakazwe, called the landlord to switch on the heating system of the embassy, only to be notified by the landlord that the building was sold to the Zambian embassy. Testifying before Magistrate Irene Wishimanga, the witness says it is at that time he made inquiries to ascertain what inspired. Mr. Kaoma testifies that he accessed a report showing financial flows that out of $7.1 million United States dollars, only one building was procured at $1.1 million United States dollars from the said funds instead of 12 properties. He says from December 4, 2020 to end of December 2020, 5 transmission of funds from the embassy were received amounting to over $5 million US. He says a total of $7.1 million United States dollars was received, and according to a report he accessed on the expenditure, $60,000 US was paid to a real estate agent as facilitation fee for finding 12 properties for purchase, and it is alleged to be 50% down payment. $195,000 US was paid to a Mr. Zapata, a lawyer engaged in the transactions. $4.8 million United States dollars is alleged to have been transferred to the lawyer representing the seller of the chancery, a Mr. Asaf Shafak, with a first 2 payment to the estate agent and lawyer being paid on 1st December 2020, and Asaf Shafak was paid on 29th December 2020. The former ambassador testifies that from the records, 12 properties of the building of the embassy, including the ambassador's residence and apartment for the rest of the diplomats who are to be purchased. Mr. Kaoma recalled that on 29 December 2020, he interviewed the driver of the former late ambassador, Joseph Chilengi, and an accountant at the embassy who disclosed that the late ambassador Chilengi instructed his driver to go to the bank, where he came out with 2 black suitcases which were alleged to have been loaded with $4.6 million and drove off to a hotel where Mr. Malanji was. He says with the aid of others, $4.6 million was loaded to the presidential jet through the aircraft crew where Malanji and others were on. In this case, Mr. Malanji is charged with 8 counts of being in possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime, while Mr. Yamba is facing 2 counts of willful failure to comply with applicable law contrary to the laws of Zambia. Trial continues in this matter. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News in Lusaka.
A business executive, Patrick Banda of Lusangazi District, has testified how Special Assistant to the President, Hakainde Hichilema, Levi Ngoma, Justice Minister Mulambo Haimbe, and other ruling United Party for National Development officials allegedly and repeatedly threatened him in filing for the council chairmanship in the Lusangazi by-election. In his testimony, Mr. Banda alleged that in the threats he received, the alleged UPND officials boasted that President Hakainde Hichilema controlled the police, courts, Electoral Commission of Zambia, and other institutions of governance. This is in a case in which Raphael Nakachinda is facing 1 count of defamation of the president. More in this report.
A business executive, Patrick Banda, 36, of Lusangazi District, has testified how Special Assistant to President Hakainde Hichilema, Levi Ngoma, Justice Minister Mulambo Haimbe, and other ruling United Party for National Development officials allegedly and repeatedly threatened him in filing for the council chairmanship in the Lusangazi by-election. Mr. Banda testified that after the death of William Banda during the 2021 election as council chairperson, by-elections were then slated to October in 2021. He testifies that on 20th October 2021, after scooping the by-election of chairmanship in Lusangazi, 4 days later, he received a call-out which a UPND candidate alleged that he forged the results. While in sales, an inspector informed him of people who were visiting him and found Levi Ngoma, Eastern Province Minister Peter Piri, and other officials from Petauke and Lusangazi. He alleges that Levi Ngoma told him that government is government and advised him to defect to the UPND, alleging that the Republican President Hakainde Hichilema really wanted the seat to show that where Edgar Lungu comes from, he is also popular. Testifying before Magistrate Irene Wishimanga, the defense witness recalls that on 12 April 2022, between 05:30 and 6 hours, a team of UPND officials comprising the Provincial Minister Peter Piri, among others, informed him of an important meeting with the President in Lusaka's Eureka Farms. Mr. Banda testified that his phone was confiscated when traveling from Petauke to Lusaka, where there was a meeting, alleging that it was chaired by Levi Ngoma, who told him that the President had directed to give him 150,000 kwacha and be appointed as District Commissioner of Katete once he distanced himself from the by-elections. In his testimony, he alleges that Mulambo Haimbe said to him during the same meeting that when he becomes Minister of Justice, all the courts will be controlled, and explained to him that the Financial Crimes Court was made for the Patriotic Front, constituting a list of 8, among them Given Lubinda, Nixon Chilangwa, Geoffrey Mwamba, Chishimba Kambwili, Raphael Nakachinda, Joe Malanji, and Boman Lusambo. He testifies that Levi Ngoma constantly threatened him and adds that on 30th April 2022, Matilda Chihiri Kamoko, who introduced herself as Lusaka's Examination Council of Zambia Center Manager in the company of armed men, confiscated his grade 12 certificate, which to date he claims he has no possession of. Patrick Banda was testifying in a matter where Patriotic Front Publicity Secretary Raphael Nakachinda is facing 1 count of defamation of the President. Trial in this matter continues. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Independent Lumezi Member of Parliament Munia Zulu has pleaded not guilty before Lusaka Chief Resident Magistrate Davis Chiwili in a case where he is facing 3 counts of libel defamation. In count 1 and 2, it is alleged that on the 21st of March 2023, Mr. Zulu published defamatory matters against Dr. Stumbekom Sokotwane and Mr. Charles Milupi by way of a press conference in which he alleged that the 2 ministers corruptly received money amounting to 250,000 United States dollars each through a bank transfer from an unknown company. In the third count, Mr. Zulu is alleged to have published defamatory matters in which he alleged that Mauchand Kuntawala corruptly sent money amounting to 150,000 United States dollars to Mr. Charles Mulupi 2 days before his appointment as board chairman for Road Development Agency, RDA. But when the matter came up for plea, Munia Zulu was cautioned by Magistrate Chibwidi not to abscond next time when the case comes up, as was the case on the 8th of June, where the case failed to take off due to his absence. The magistrate has since set 26 June for mention and 26 July for commencement of trial. You're watching Camnet Television Main News. Join us for more news after this break.
You know, I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Deborah, have you connected to the Wi-Fi on the bus? It's fast, it's amazing. I've just downloaded my books and I'm about to complete the series. It's nice, too, me.
No, I'm actually watching a reality show. He's about to propose. Oh, so sweet.
Make your trip seem short yet comfortable and safe when you use the UB's luxurious fully air-conditioned coaches that come fitted with amazing onboard entertainment, passenger information services, coffee-making facilities and fridge for your hot and cold beverages, free and interrupted Wi-Fi for your gadgets, phone charging facilities, comfortable seats that recline to offer extra resting posture, safety seat belts, adjustable reading lights for each traveling client, and of course, clean flushing toilets for your convenience. So travel in luxury and safety with UBZ luxurious coaches. UBZ will always take you there.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. Opposition Leadership Movement Party Information and Publicity Secretary Jason Mwanza says Zambia is at a high risk of not attaining its goal of becoming a food basket for Africa by 2030 if citizens keep being stopped from exporting key crops such as maize. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. Mwanza notes that the maize shortages experienced in the first quarter of 2023 necessitated a ban on the export of maize, stating that this is, however, not good for growing Zambia's international market. He has therefore advised the current administration to ensure that businessmen and women are allowed to trade in various crops freely across borders while ensuring food security in the country if the country is to become a food basket for Africa.
For you to do away with illegalities, for you to do away with smuggling is by making sure that you have enough. If you produce enough for yourselves, you will not be afraid to open a free market for the Zambian farmers to start selling to other nations, because we would have already had enough to, to service ourselves. The reason why we are having issues to do with smuggling, even when people have actually, worked for that maize, they have that's their own money, and we are limiting them, stepping on their rights, when Zambia is actually a free market, is because we are having shortages. And this comes from the carelessness of the UPND, in the previous farming season. So in this coming season, make sure that you produce farming inputs on time. And when the farmers produce enough, it will be easy for them to sell where the market is favorable to them.
The Advocates for National Democracy and Development says it is expectant of a lot of positives from Zambia's President Hakainde Hichilema following Zambia's assumption of the chairmanship of the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, COMESA. Organization Executive Director Samuel Banda says he has a lot of confidence and expectations that President Hichilema will deliver to stakeholders' expectations with his proficient business skills and vast experience in the corporate world. Mr. Banda has further observed that the appointment of President Hichilema as chairperson of COMESA is a huge opportunity for Zambia to promote continental trade by removing barriers to trade that have been inhibiting small-scale enterprises.
Expectant of a lot of positives and benefits from our Republican President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, following Zambians' assumption of chairmanship of COMESA. We are confident and optimistic that President Hakainde Hichilema will deliver to stakeholders' expectations with his proficient business skills and a vast experience in the corporate world to promote trade and investment in the region. We believe this is a huge opportunity for Zambia to promote continental trade and investment. We believe this is a huge opportunity to ensure that we remove barriers that have been inhibiting promotion of trade, more especially among small business investment. We therefore call upon President Hakainde Hichilema to ensure he creates an enabling policy environment that will facilitate for business growth for both domestic and international.
The Zambia Information and Communications Technology Authority, ZICTA, under the Universal Access Master Plan, has identified the communication gaps in the country and is in the process of installing 980 communication towers before 2025. ZICTA Consumer Protection and Compliance Manager Edgar Mulauzi says the authority is aware of the country's telecommunication gaps and will ensure a 100% coverage under government's Digital Transformation Agenda 2025. Mr. Mulauzi says under the Universal Master Plan, ZICTA is in the process of installing 980 communication towers so that government's Digital Transformation Agenda is achieved. He disclosed this during a courtesy call on Rufunsa District Commissioner Richard Mabena in his office. Zanis has more in this report.
So far we have blocked about 140,000 channels. The Zambia Information Communication Authority, ZICTA, is in Rufunsa district sensitizing the communities to report scammers to the authority so that mobile users are protected. ZICTA Manager Consumer Protection and Compliance, Edgar Mulauzi, now explains why the authority has embarked on this program.
We want to visit all the districts of Lusaka province. We are here in Rufunsa. We are doing a consumer awareness and outreach campaigns. As you are aware that the government has been elaborate on digital transformation agenda. Digital transformation agenda should move with consumer preparedness. The consumers should be ready as technology is advancing, the consumers should be ready in terms of digital literacy, in terms of data literacy, and we don't also to promote safety and security of the consumers. But what now we're emphasizing on are the proper digital skills, data literacy, so that they don't share their information carelessly, they don't respond maybe to scammers. So we have given them the short code *707# to report all the scamming messages so that those numbers are taken down. We don't want people to be scammed. And then also take advantage of *101# to check in terms of their identity card whether it is linked to a number of mobile numbers, because the scammers use other people's identities to perpetuate these crimes. And that's
people have welcomed the move by ZICTA.
Wefetia mikira pascola rero
popeze kati ifitenzo kanza tiwaya teomane ndio amatibera ndrama uzapewa sometimes ka message kabwera mami mwawina loto tawina tie mwawina ndrama ya swapa 2 pin 3 pin
nyamikila nkamba zikomo pakubwera bazikta kubwera kuchipunzisa mwamena chibera ndrama bakawalala.
Zikta manager Consumer Protection and Compliance Edgar Mulauzi has further disclosed that the authority is in the process of installing more than 900 towers countrywide to bridge the communication gap. Mr. Mulauzi said this during a courtesy call on Rufunsa District Commissioner Richard Mabena, who bemoaned the poor network in the area.
You go to Jomba, Lubalashi, you go to this other place here, where the mines are open. Kamwesha, right? When you go to Kamwesha, definitely a cut off. Because of this, it has been easy to be made for a person to talk to anyone and even give information using a phone. So the start of the phone, it has to be supported by certain services like the towers.
Under the Universal Access Master Plan, we have identified the gaps in terms of communication gaps. We have identified that we need about 950 to 980 towers to cover the whole country. Through that ambitious program of supporting government's digital transformation agenda, because of the projection they are making by 2025, we need to cover this country by 100% GSM coverage. So meaning that wherever there are people, there should be communication. So we're trying.
Reporting in Rufunsa District, I'm Umseki Wantembe.
You're watching Camnet Television and not just another channel. We take our second and final break. Join us for international sports news after the break.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back. And now in international news, the leader of the opposition in Guinea-Bissau celebrated on Thursday after the Pai-Terra-Ranka coalition led by his party won the majority of seats in parliament. The party of President Umaro Sissoco Embalo, Madem G15, took 29 seats. In other international stories, former U.S. President Donald Trump has been indicted in connection with the mishandling of classified documents. The charges include espionage, obstruction, conspiracy, and making false statements. Here's a roundup of international news for more.
The leader of the opposition in Guinea-Bissau celebrated on Thursday after the Pai-Terra-Ranka coalition led by his party PAIGC won the majority of seats in parliament. The party of President Umaro Sissoco Embalo took 29 seats. As Guinea-Bissau won, and as the Pai-Terra-Ranka platform has always promised, we have responsibilities, and we celebrate. Yes, we do, but we will respect all the children of Guinea who contributed to producing these results.
esse Zimbabwe. Viva Guiné-Bissau! Viva a democracia! Viva a liberdade!
Following the announcement by the electoral authorities, President Embalo announced he's ready to appoint Domingos Simões Pereira, the PAI-GC president and leader of the PAI Terra-Ranca coalition, as Prime Minister.
Another legal headache for Donald Trump. He's become the first former American president to face federal criminal charges, less than 3 months after he was indicted in New York for allegedly falsifying business records. Trump says it's a hoax.
Our country is going to hell, and they come after Donald Trump, weaponizing the Justice Department, weaponizing the FBI. We can't let this continue to go on because it's ripping our country to shreds. We have such big problems, and this shouldn't be one of them.
He's facing 7 counts related to the mishandling of classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. In August last year, federal officials seized dozens of boxes of files from his home, many of them classified. But Trump insists he's done nothing wrong.
It's just a continuation, 7 years, even after I'm out. But it's called election interference. They're trying to destroy a reputation so they can win an election. That's just as bad as doing any of the other things that have been done over the last number of years, and especially during the 2020 election.
And Republicans have jumped to his defence, including some of his challenges for the Republican nomination for next year's presidential election. But US President Joe Biden has denied accusations of political interference.
Mr. President, what do you say to Americans to convince them that they should trust the independence and fairness of the Justice Department when your predecessor, Donald Trump, repeatedly attacks it?
Because you notice, I have never once, not one single time, suggested to the Justice Department what they should do or not do about bringing a charge or not bringing a charge. I'm honest.
And God bless America. Thank you very much.
Trump says he's summoned to appear in court in Miami on Tuesday, but it's not clear if he's planning to turn up. And even if the charges result in a conviction, that still won't prevent him from running for president in 2024.
It's now time for sports news. Vice President Mutalenda Lumango has held a send-off ceremony for the Zambia women's national team, who are expected to travel to New Zealand and Australia for the 2023 FIFA World Cup tournament slated for July this year. Ms. Nalumango, who was speaking during the ceremony, has wished the Copper Queens victory and says government and the people of Zambia are behind them. The Vice President says it is encouraging to see that the women's football national team has made history by qualifying for the first time to the World Cup. And speaking at the same event, Ministry of Youth, Sport and Arts Permanent Secretary Chama Fumba says government will continue putting in place favorable measures that are aimed at supporting women's football in the country. Mr. Fumba says with the hard work that the women have shown in football, government cannot relent but continue supporting the team and in turn raise football standards in the country. And Football Association of Zambia FAS President Andrew Kamanga has called on the business community in the country to come on board and support football, especially the women's national team. Mr. Kamanga noted that more support in football is needed if it is to strive for greater heights, adding that government alone cannot manage. And Camnet television news, the headlines once again. Chunga residents demand the closure of a named Chinese company. Quote, here's how Joe Malanji used the presidential jet to ferry over $4.6 million from Turkey. Patriotic Front questions law enforcement agencies' silence on FEEP report. In international news, the opposition coalition wins legislative elections in Guinea-Bissau. And in sports news, VEEP assures the Copper Queens of continued support. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from Galatians 6, verse 7 to 8. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. Whoever sows to please their flesh, from the flesh will reap destruction. Whoever sows to please the Spirit, from the Spirit will reap eternal life. Thank you again for watching Camnet Television News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Good night.